Philosophy, origin, evolution, and meaning. The word philosophy comes from ancient Greek and arises from the combination of two words, philos, which means love, affection, or inclination, and sophia, which translates as wisdom or knowledge. In its purest origin, philosophy means love of wisdom. In ancient Greece, this term represented the deep desire of certain individuals to dedicate their lives to understanding the world, to seeking the truth, and to reflecting on existence beyond any practical utility. For the first philosophers, thinking was not a means to an end, but an end in itself, knowledge for the simple love of knowing. Until the 18th century, in the West, there was no clear division between science, philosophy, and art. The so-called exact sciences and speculative fields such as metaphysics, logic, or aesthetics coexisted within the same philosophical spirit. That is why, in antiquity, philosophers were at once scientists, mathematicians, poets, and theologians. A brilliant example is Pythagoras, who not only made fundamental discoveries in geometry, but also established the foundations of musical notation and explored the symbolic and spiritual dimension of numbers. Plato, a disciple of Socrates, studied the mystical traditions of Egypt before formulating his own dialectical method, a process of reasoning that sought to reach the truth through dialogue and rational reflection. From a technical point of view, philosophy can be defined as the rational and critical analysis of our beliefs, ideas, and values, an attempt to logically review the concepts we use to understand the world and ourselves. Philosophical thought throughout history. The history of philosophy can be divided into three major periods: ancient Greece, the Middle Ages, and the modern age, which serves as a prelude to contemporary philosophy. Let's briefly look at each stage. 1. Ancient Greece, the birth of rational thought. Although civilizations such as Egypt, Persia, or China developed deep and sophisticated systems of thought, their philosophy was almost always tied to religion and political power. In contrast, the Greeks were the first to separate reason from faith, seeking universal answers without relying on the gods or tradition. That is why it can be said that philosophy was born in Greece, driven by the individual desire to understand the cosmos through observation and logical reflection. The Pre-Socratics. The first Greek philosophers, known as the Pre-Socratics, focused on explaining the origin and structure of the universe. Heraclitus, one of the most important, asserted that the world was not created by any god or any man, but is an eternal fire that ignites and extinguishes according to its own laws. Other thinkers, such as Thales of Miletus, Anaximander, Parmenides, Pythagoras, and Democritus, contributed fundamental ideas about matter, change, harmony, and number. Socrates and the revolution of thought. With Socrates from 470 to 399 BC, philosophy changed its focus. It stopped looking only at the cosmos and began to look at the human being. Socrates maintained that true knowledge begins with the recognition of one's own ignorance. Hence his famous phrase, "All I know is that I know nothing." He created the dialectical method, a form of rational dialogue in which ideas were tested to discover whether they were true or false. This method became the foundation of Western critical thinking. 2. The Middle Ages. Philosophy in the service of faith. During the Middle Ages, philosophy was strongly influenced by Christianity. Most thinkers were monks or theologians who tried to reconcile reason with faith. As Tertullian said, Athens has nothing to do with Jerusalem, meaning that philosophy, Athens, and religion, Jerusalem, belong to different worlds, although some tried to unite them. The dominant movement was scholasticism, represented by thinkers such as St. Augustine of Hippo, St. Thomas Aquinas, Anselm of Canterbury, William of Ockham, and Duns Scotus. One of the great medieval debates was between realism and nominalism. Realism held that universal concepts, such as humanity or goodness, truly exist. Nominalism, on the other hand, claimed that they are only names or abstract ideas created by the human mind. 3. The modern age, the independence of thought. With the Renaissance and the advancement of science, philosophy began to free itself from theological control. It was no longer necessary to think according to religious dogmas. Reason became the main guide to knowledge. The first great modern philosopher was René Descartes, 1596 to 1650. Descartes took doubt to its highest expression, questioning everything that could be false until he found an absolute certainty. I think, therefore I am. With him, modern and scientific philosophy was born, which would influence thinkers such as Kant, Hegel, Hume, Spinoza, Locke, and Leibniz. What does philosophy study? Philosophy seeks to understand the origin, cause, and purpose of all things. Throughout time, it has tried to answer the deepest questions of human beings. What is truth? What is the meaning of life? What is good and evil? What is beauty? What is reality? That is why philosophy is said to be the mother of all sciences. It was humanity's first attempt to look at its surroundings with wonder, to ask why and for what purpose everything exists. Main branches of philosophy. Throughout its evolution, philosophy has diversified into different branches, each with its own focus: gnoseology or epistemology. It studies knowledge, its origin, and its limits. It asks how we know what we believe we know. Metaphysics investigates the ultimate nature of reality, the causes and foundations of being. Logic examines the correct forms of reasoning, the principles of inference, and valid argumentation. Aesthetics analyzes beauty, art, and the perception of the beautiful in society. Ethics reflects on morality, virtue, duty, and the meaning of what is right. Philosophy of language explores the origin, meaning, and function of language in the construction of thought. Political philosophy studies power relations, social structures, and different forms of government. What is philosophy for? Many people think that philosophy is only for academics or intellectuals, but in reality, we all philosophize whenever we reflect on who we are, what truth is, or how we should act. Philosophy is a powerful tool that teaches us to think clearly, to question what is established, and to understand the human dilemmas of each era. In times of uncertainty, philosophers do not always offer definitive answers, but they do provide ways to think, moral and rational guides that help humanity move forward. As Kant said, philosophy does not teach us what to think, but how to think. Ultimately, philosophy is the relentless search for meaning amid the chaos of the world. It is the voice of thought that, from Greece to today, continues to ask, who are we? Where do we come from? Where are we going?